She actually filled out an ACLU questionnaire that asked that specific question, and she did. And there's even video of her saying, not in the illegal immigration context, but there's video of her taking pride in the fact that she initiated and pushed for free transgender surgery for prisoners in California. Not illegal immigrants, but free, taxpayer-funded transgender surgery for people in prison. It's not a big stretch then to ask a Democrat, say, well, if a legal immigrant is in prison, would you give them the same health care? Again, Kamala Harris on record saying, well, I believe any health care that is public health that should be available for citizens should be available for non-citizens too.
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with commentary editor Conn Carroll. Conn, Springfield, Ohio has been thrust into the national spotlight. It was the subject of this past week's debate when Donald Trump brought up that the migrants are eating the cats and dogs, which we do not know to be the case. But I think all this focus on it being a hoax, the pet eating, has just sort of obscured a larger point about immigration, right?
Right. So the context for that was him making a case against what the Biden-Harris border crisis has done to towns throughout across the country. And so, there has been these fantastic tales of migrants eating, I believe it's, Trump got it wrong, it's cats and ducks, not cats and dogs, but who's
easy mistake.
Really, right, easy mistake to make. But the larger truth is, he also mentioned the town of Aurora, Colorado in there. And there is documented violence from Venezuela gangs in Aurora, Colorado. And besides the migrant violence, there's just the costs of healthcare, Medicaid, increased hospital visits. There's the cost of educating the migrants. There's the town of Springfield itself, to go back there, has seen a flood of English second language. And if you're, well, not Kamala Harris because she has no kids, but if you're like Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, you send your kids to private school. They're never going to be in a class with a bunch of migrants who can't speak English. The working class people of Springfield are, and that's a big burden on them. And I know Democrats don't care about that, but Trump voters do. And that's the point he was making. And so when ABC's David Muir comes in and tries to, lessen the fact, oh, you're making this all up. No, the American people are not making up the border crisis. Migrants are inflicting huge costs on rural communities and small towns throughout the country, and Trump knows that. And Democrats and ABC can deny it all they want, but it's a real issue.
Kamala Harris skated by on a lot of her record, right? Thanks to mostly Trump, but also the moderators. And there was a section in the debate where Trump finally rattled off some of the stuff that she's been far left on in the past, immigration, defunding the police, and she shook her head no to a lot of that.
Right.
But that's a lie, right?
I mean, everything Trump said was true, right? But it did sound fantastical, right? Like if you were to be, not dropped from the plane, but if you were to fast forward from 10 years ago and someone say, oh, the Democratic Party is going to be for giving taxpayer-funded transgender surgeries to illegal immigrants in prison, you'd be like, yeah, actually that does sound kind of weird. And then, of course, New York's Susan Glazer, said like, oh, where did Trump come up with this? No one knows. But it's like, no, she actually said that in 2019. She actually filled out an ACLU questionnaire that asked that specific question, and she did. And there's even video of her saying, not in the illegal immigration context, but there's video of her taking pride in the fact that she initiated and pushed for free transgender surgery for prisoners in California. Not illegal immigrants, but free, taxpayer-funded transgender surgery for people in prison.
And when I learned about the case, I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need.
It's not a big stretch then to ask a Democrat, say, well, if a legal immigrant is in prison, would you give them the same health care? Again, Kamala Harris on record saying, well, I believe any health care that is public health that should be available for citizens should be available for non-citizens too. So yes, it's weird, it's radical, but it's her position, it's what she said, and Trump is completely correct to point it out.
The vibes are still high with Kamala Harris after the debate because she was perceived as winning and clearing this sort of low-ish bar in terms of expectations for her performance. But can she win on vibes alone? You wrote about how you don't think the vibes are going to be enough in November.
Right. So the New York Times, which normally not the best source, but they had a column where they said, look, a lot of the pundits say Kamala Harris did great, she won the debate, but we talked to a bunch of undecided voters, and that didn't seem to be the case. They pointed out that she was evasive. She didn't explain. So the very first question on the debate from ABC News, actually a good question, was, what are you going to say to voters who feel that they're not as well off as 4 years ago? She completely evaded it. She didn't answer the question. And a lot of voters feel that they were better off under Trump, even Democratic voters. And they want to hear from Kamala, how is she different than Biden? She never answered that question, never came close to answering that question. And so she can try to get off on and try to win on joy and feel-good opportunity economy alone. But people want to hear how she's different than Biden and how those changes from Biden are going to make their lives better. And she just has said nothing on that.
Well, Conn, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
You can get more writing from Conn and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.